Are successful entrepreneurs born or made? This single question has been debated time and time again, especially nowadays with entrepreneurship being extremely popular. A couple of days ago, I was talking to my good friend and letting him know how my coaching and my speaking business has been just blowing up in such a beautiful way and what roller coaster ride I had to go through to get to this point. Afterwards, he looked at me and he's like, Chris, I would have probably quit and got a safe, secure job. Now that really surprised me because he's a very intelligent person, and I started wondering, what are the main characteristic traits you need to be a successful entrepreneur? So in this video, we're going to talk about the top 3 characteristic traits that I thoroughly believe every single successful entrepreneur has. And I'm going to correlate those characteristic traits to current entrepreneurs. The first entrepreneur we're going to correlate it to is Elon Musk. The second one is Curtis 50 Cent Jackson. And the third one is going to be Gary Vaynerchuk. As well, at the end of the video, I'm going to give you my opinion to let you know if I thoroughly believe that entrepreneurs are either born or made. Coming up. The first characteristic trait that successful entrepreneurs have is they are risk tolerant. Now, I really love this one. And the reason why is because before starting this video, I actually went and I checked out what is the definition of an entrepreneur. And I actually pulled it up from the Webster Marriott Dictionary. I'm going to read it to you guys right now. So an entrepreneur: one who organizes, manages, and assumes the risk of a business or enterprise. Now, the thing that was interesting over here is that I looked at other sources when it comes to this definition, and all of them had the word risk in it. So that is so true. As an entrepreneur, you have to be risk tolerant at a certain degree and at a certain point, because it's not going to happen right away, and there is a lot of ups and downs. So the first characteristic trait is to be risk tolerant. Now, the correlation with an entrepreneur that's currently very successful that I wanted to bring out is Elon Musk. If you guys are probably watching this video, you guys know who Elon Musk is, all right? And here's the story very briefly that I wanted to bring in the forefront within him and when it comes to him being risk tolerant. So Elon Musk, the first success, the real success that he had as an entrepreneur is he sold the company PayPal. Once he sold it, he made hundreds of millions of dollars. Then he decided to go into developing Tesla and SpaceX. Now, when he went into those companies, in the beginning it was extremely difficult. He invested a lot of his money and he got outside investors as well to come in and help him out because he was like the new tech guy within Silicon Valley, and he was very up and coming on that end. As he put in the money in the beginning and put in the work, the company wasn't doing well. Far from it. Not like at the point that it is today in 2020. I mean, the company went really, really difficult before popping. And one of the main things, the story that he says, is when he was actually in SpaceX, he had investors to give him money to do 3 launches of his spaceship. And he did the first one, it failed. Did the second one, it failed. And it came to the third one, which was like the last chance, and it failed as well. So at this point, he had no more money, no more investors that wanted to put in money because they're like, hey, you did it 3 times and it failed. So what he did is he took all of his money that he had gained from selling PayPal and he invested it within his businesses. So he really put his money where his mouth is. And that was the 4th launch that he had to do. And this was like do or die. He had no more money. He was literally sleeping at his friends' couches, going from couch to couch. This guy was a multi-millionaire, and he invested everything within this. And the 4th one finally did succeed, and the company started getting some contracts and going towards the right direction. So I just wanted to present this story just to show you how risk tolerant you have to be an entrepreneur. If you're seeing there's some value within this video so far, don't hesitate at all to give me one of these, hit that subscribe button and turn on the bell notification so you can find out when our weekly videos come out. The second characteristic trait that every single successful entrepreneur has is that they always learn. Now, entrepreneurs don't only learn when it comes to having mentors, coaches, going to seminars and reading books. Those are all beautiful and these are things that they do a lot. But as well, they learn from their life experiences going way back when they were kids. From maybe when they were selling lemonades or when they were cutting their neighbor's grass. They utilize the lessons they've learned within their life, how they could correlate that to their entrepreneurial life right now and their entrepreneurial tendencies. This is why I wanted to speak about Curtis 50 Cent Jackson, which actually for the people who don't know him as much, he's actually 50 Cent. He is or was a rapper and now essentially an amazing entrepreneur. Now, the reason why I wanted to talk to him is because I just read his book, The 50th Law, which he collaborated with Robert Greene, which you guys know that I'm a fan of Robert Greene. So within this book, it was very interesting how he shows that 50 Cent, when he started off on the streets, unfortunately selling drugs. And once he realized how that business worked, it was really entrepreneurial essentially tendencies being a drug salesman, how he had to stay in the corner, how he had to market his drugs, and how he had to be careful of cops as well as other people that were on the same field as him and competing as him to sell drugs. As he developed that wherewithal, he brought it into the music game, and he saw that it's essentially very similar what he was living on the streets, what happens in the music industry. And he started navigating that in such a way that he could use him to his advantage. He learned and he saw what he learned from the streets, brought it to the music industry, and then from the music industry, he had wherewithal, he had the vision to see that the music industry wasn't gonna succeed the way that they have for years, coming in with all the Spotify's, the Apple Music, and so on and so forth. So he instantly knew that was going to happen, and he wanted to use music as a trampoline, a stepping stone for him to be a great entrepreneur and really go into that world. And as he developed that, he took every single lesson he learned from the street to music to now being a very successful entrepreneur. So this is the second characteristic trait. You always have to learn, and you have to learn from your life experiences. The third characteristic trait that every single successful entrepreneur has is they are passionate. Now, I thoroughly believe if you are going to succeed as an entrepreneur, you have to be extremely passionate about the service you're giving or the product you're putting out in the marketplace. Because the reality is, if you're not passionate about it, you're just not going to succeed. Because I don't care what anybody told you, but entrepreneurship is not easy. Now, granted, I wouldn't exchange for the world because it's thoroughly beautiful, but there's a lot of up and downs. And within those down moments, if you're not passionate about your product or service, you're just not gonna go forward and continue being relentless to succeed, essentially. So you have to be extremely passionate. Now, this is why I wanted to present the third entrepreneur over here, which is Gary Vaynerchuk. For the people who don't know Gary Vaynerchuk, he started his entrepreneurial journey with his father in a wine company called Wine Library, essentially. And what he realized at that point, he utilized social media and Google AdSense to really bring Wine Library to the next level. And he saw it explode in such a beautiful way. As he developed his skills within that, he realized like, hey, I could start a company which is 100% on helping consulting other companies of how to use social media and bring their brands to the next level. And he started VaynerMedia. Now, the thing that I like about this, and I wanted to bring out a passion, the guy doesn't only talk the talk, he literally walks the walk. I'm just gonna invite you to go type his name on any social platform. He's probably gonna pop up as one of the top entrepreneurs on that platform. He actually practices what he preaches. He's always on the social platforms, always giving back and being extremely passionate about what he does, which is essentially being on social and understanding how the social world works for an entrepreneur. Check out what you are thoroughly passionate about, and that's where you should play and develop to be a real successful entrepreneur. As promised in the beginning of the video, I'm gonna answer the question, which is actually the question of the day: are entrepreneurs born or made? Now, I thoroughly believe a lot of the successful entrepreneurs are born. Now, what do we mean by being born? That means is they took their life experiences that they've had and they've utilized those talents and those life experiences and they've leveraged it within their entrepreneurial world and entrepreneurial activities. Now, that being said, can people still be made and be great entrepreneurs? Yes, the answer is yes. Especially nowadays, business evolving in the way that it evolves, there's so much more accessibility to be an entrepreneur, such as social media entrepreneurs, such as an online entrepreneur, and so on and so forth. I personally, in my personal life, I was born to be an entrepreneur. But the reason, once again, that I'm saying born is because I have life experiences being dyslexic, going through those difficulties that really was preparing me to be an entrepreneur. So you really have to find out what you thoroughly love and if you see yourself within that. But if you see that you have to be an entrepreneur, those traits and talents can be essentially developed. So let me know in the comments down below, what do you guys think? Do you guys believe that entrepreneurship, you are born or you're made as an entrepreneur? As well, there's some videos over here that could interest you that I've previously done on entrepreneurship and on other stuff such as book reviews. And you have this profile picture. If you click on it, you will be able to subscribe and join the family. So I hope you guys have a blessed and grateful day.